The Supreme Court has decided to hear a case called United States versus Rahimi involving firearm possession by those subject to certain restraining orders. Mr. Rahimi is far from the ideal plaintiff for gun rights, to say the least. He's accused of, among other things, assaulting his girlfriend who obtained a restraining order. Now, sometime after the incident, 2 firearms were found at Rahimi's residence, and he was indicted by a federal court for possession of those firearms while being under that restraining order. Rahimi pled guilty, but has since decided to appeal the case due to the new precedent set by Justice Clarence Thomas in the Bruen case, when he declared that gun laws must pass muster under this country's historical tradition. Even though Rahimi is right that the law is unconstitutional, Rahimi is not a part of the people who have a protected right to keep and bear arms. On the contrary, he's a dangerous, violent criminal, and the criminal justice system should be focused on putting him behind bars for a long time and not defending an unconstitutional gun ban category. In this particular case, Rahimi's attorneys challenged the provision found in 18 U.S.C. Section 922G, which uses certain types of restraining orders as the basis for taking away people's guns. Rahimi's case was in the Fifth Circuit, where he won, based on Justice Thomas's historical tradition precedent and the fact that at the time of our founding, there were no restrictions to gun ownership under these circumstances. Now, rather than take the loss, the DOJ appealed the case to the Supreme Court, which is where an important battle will take place. If the DOJ had merely taken the loss in the Fifth Circuit, 3 states would be exempt from the firearm restraining order restriction. But since the government cannot admit defeat, all the cards are on the table at the national level. Now, this case is expected to be heard by the court later this year. If someone has done something bad enough to lose their constitutional rights, wouldn't that crime be enough to keep them in jail? Now, you would think so. That begs the question, why is Rahimi not in jail? Rahimi is not a good guy and has continually found ways around gun laws to acquire firearms for the purpose of shooting at people or threatening people. He's a perfect example of gun laws doing nothing to stop bad guys. But his criminal behavior should be handled at the local level, not with some unconstitutional federal crime. Mark my words, just because Rahimi is not federally convicted does not mean he will not be convicted of a plethora of state crimes and become a prohibited person or a felon that way. We at GOA and GOF absolutely condemn his behavior. However, the rules around domestic violence put good people at risk simply by subjecting them to false allegations, or because judges will often hand out mutual restraining orders to avoid making the determination of which party is the credible threat. Judicial assessments have often led to the issuance of unmerited mutual restraining orders, namely in situations where one party is the abuser and the other party is a victim. In other words, restraining orders are disarming at-risk women. Attorney Dave Kopel said in a testimony to Congress, "It is well known in family and domestic law that ex parte procedures with low standards of evidence are often abused by angry spouses in divorce, jilted lovers, and so on. The Gifford system is well adapted for abusers to disarm their victims, and if the abusers so choose, to attack a victim who has been rendered defenseless." Now, if a person has engaged in violent acts against someone, shouldn't they be prosecuted for those crimes rather than the victim being disarmed? Gun control against those simply under restraining orders can make good people, including women, vulnerable and deny them their Second Amendment rights. Although Rahimi may not be the model citizen, this case may be good for gun rights. Thanks for watching Bullet Points. I'm Dan Wos for Gun Owners Foundation. You can find more Second Amendment content and updates at gunowners.com.